take it a different direction. I know Caitlin Clark has a signature shoe. I haven't really looked into it.
No, she doesn't. I'm glad you brought this up because
what's up with it,
man? So this is something that's been bothering me, and this is without like inside knowledge of of anything. There's things that I've been told that I just confirmed what I was thinking, but it's like, how do you have the biggest basketball, the most talked about new entrant to the basketball world, and you don't have product for her? And I think a lot of it has to do with managing everything that they're hearing from athletes and participants on the fan base, athletes themselves on the WNBA side, right? And maybe even Caitlin herself wants to avoid all that. And it's so controversial that instead of just like going for it, right? Like, I got handed lightning in a bottle and I don't have a shoe for her rookie year. And I'm likely not going to have a shoe for her next year, but I've got the MVP of the league, A'ja Wilson, her shoe's coming out. And it feels like a lot of this is around like avoiding upsetting that, right? Like, hey, she can't go before A'ja. Like, who the fuck says she can't go before A'ja? Like, it's business. Yeah. This isn't charity.
Yeah, Tim Duncan was better than Allen Iverson.
Yes.
That's not how we determine who gets the shoe and what we market.
Yes. And no matter what you think of A'ja Wilson, it's obvious the business opportunity with Caitlin Clark is much more substantial and much less risky. But for whatever reason, she's been put on the back burner and is kind of just wearing like Kobe Bryant PEs that haven't even been released. She likes wearing Kobe's, it's obvious. But what does that do for Nike's business, right? Like if you're having trouble getting shelf space back, getting people into the stores, getting people interested in product, if basketball as a category is down beyond, off the court, it's cyclical, it's not fashionable, whatever. It's not to say Caitlin Clark's some fashionable person or anything like that, but she is a cultural phenomenon which causes people to do things like wearing her shoe everywhere to say, I support her, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just take that slam dunk? Like, why wouldn't you do that? So those are questions as an outsider. I'm like, a business person. I'm like, this makes no fucking sense unless you're trying to manage egos, relationships, and things of that nature. And when it comes down to business, I'm sorry, man. Like, it's not always, what people would consider fair. It's just, or I was here first, or this is seniority, or whatever else. It's just this person is better. It's like having a basketball team and going, an unbelievable rookie comes in, and you've had this, this veteran that's done all this stuff for the team, and you're going to go, I'm not going to run plays for this guy that's a once in a generation rookie because I don't want to upset my vet. Like, that makes no sense. Like, what do you do? You want to win. You want to use the guy that's that's better than everybody else in that regard.
Or it makes more sense on a basketball team where you do have to manage egos to a degree.
You do, but still, even in that team environment, you're going to figure I'm not talking about someone that's near talent. I'm not talking about like I want to run a few more plays. I'm talking about someone that's downright, like, it's like Shaquille O'Neal coming in his rookie year and them going, hey, sorry, can't run plays for you. We got Scott Skiles. We don't want to piss, Scott Skiles was a unselfish player. We don't want to piss off our vet. Like, so everything Scott decides when he gets the ball and maybe you'll get it. Like, oh man, don't worry about it. Right. Like,
that reminds me of David Stern when Scott Skiles was a coach. And he didn't want Stern to have the cameras inside the locker room. And Stern said, well, let's see. On the one hand, we've got billions of dollars from our broadcast partners. And on the other hand, we have Scott fucking Skiles. Shut the fuck up. But look, A'ja Wilson's obviously no Scott Skiles. She's league MVP. She's the best player. But
she is.
But this is a once in a generation business opportunity with Clark. And this does get back full circle to something we were talking about earlier, which is that social sensitivities do get in the way of business. The social media era, especially on the entertainment and media side, is an era where people will choose the social over the economics, and it's not just about the money, because what would make the most sense, I think, for promoting a Caitlin Clark shoe, and you could call me crazy or say I'm wrong, would be to send a pair to Dave Portnoy, because the most underrated factor in the Caitlin Clark phenomenon that nobody wants to admit is that Dave Portnoy, much as he's considered a misogynistic lout by much of the media, was very early, and Barstool was very early to the Clark phenomenon. And a lot of people, a lot of young people got on board through that portal. So if you're just trying to do earned media marketing, you would send him a pair of whatever the signature shoe would be for Clark, the Bumblebees, have him have Iowa colors or have a heart on it because she does the heart symbol. I don't know. I mean, that you don't have to do that one, but I'm just giving an example of how certain marketing opportunities that would make sense, you're precluded from doing because of social controversy.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, social media is not reflection. We talk about this all the time, but social media is not a reflection of real life. The real life is the Mystics playing in a smaller arena, having to move to the bigger Wizards arena because Caitlin Clark's there, and setting, this just happened a day or two ago, and setting a all-time record for attendance because she's a visiting player coming to play. That means that many people are interested in her compared to what the standard is. You don't have to do anything that sparks controversy because she's already, partially thanks to,
she's already mainstream.
Yeah, she's already mainstream. Maybe Portnoy's a part of that, whatever it is, but you don't even have to involve him in any. She's already there. You just have to feed the masses with this product. And the idea that she's going to, especially in this time, that she's going to remain that forever, between injuries, people's attention spans being shorter, all of that. Why would you ever waste that opportunity? If anything, you got to be ready to go. I look at Juju Watkins, who I think is going to be the next player of that. Will be interesting to see how they treat Juju versus Caitlin with different racial dynamics and things of that nature coming in. But I would skip her over A'ja right now. I would rather have Juju have a signature shoe in college with the way that the momentum she'll have coming out of the NCAAs, the way her game is played, and how much longer she has to play. I would be investing in a Juju signature shoe right now and building towards that. So when she gets to the WNBA and she has the momentum, she has a product. Caitlin Clark has the product. It's all about who has the audience right now, who's more marketable, instead of worrying about who the best player is, because there isn't a one-to-one with that all the time.
I completely agree. It seems like Juju just has something that connects with people. And also, being in LA, there's something to that as well. And it seems as though the basketball community, the NBA players, they're following her career, and there's a connection right there. And that's just not the case. Wilson, it's hard to really, this is this other thing. A lot of the substrate of our conversation, it's hard to define aesthetics, which are sometimes matched up with quality, but not completely. And A'ja Wilson just seems to convert on that 15-footer at a rate that's much higher than other people, but kind of in the way that with certain baseball players, you wouldn't necessarily know that they're batting 300 versus 250 unless you had the numbers beside you. It's not like you'll show somebody a clip of that and they go, oh my God, this is something that nobody else could do. It's just she can do it at a rate that other people can't do it. And that's different from some of the stuff that Caitlin Clark does and what Juju does. And it appears as though that stuff often is what draws people in, and that's what people connect to. And I've said it, I think little of Black Sports Online has been really good on this one. There are a lot of people who don't really like basketball who are almost overanalyzing the Caitlin Clark phenomenon.
They are. Yeah. And are they people watching games or going to games or buying merchandise? It's almost like perpetually loud social media people that aren't necessarily spending, like, it's not like we can actually track and see if they're spending the money, but I always say, like, hey, you're upset about, I hope Asia Wilson shoe is the best selling shoe in the world because of the way you guys talk, right? Like, it's not about who you like or whatever else. It's about like who the general public likes, right? Like the masses like. Can you market something to the masses that cuts through?
No, they want to be angry that a shoe is not being given to somebody whose shoe they will not buy in many cases.
Yes.
But it's about charisma. It's about what connects. It's about what resonates. There are a lot of factors to the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. When it's a big hit, it's going to be a perfect storm. But the main factor is how she plays. That is the main factor. That is,
yes, it's the aesthetics of how she plays. We talked about this on a previous podcast, but it's I remember the moment where I first saw a highlight of hers. She was like I said before, she was in these pink jerseys for breast cancer awareness, and someone, either I saw it on my feed or a friend texted me, and she was gunning these 30-foot shots. I forget who you were explaining this to the other day that was interested in knowing it.
Sagar and Jetty. It was so fun to explain it to somebody who knows that the Caitlin Clark thing is a thing,
but he doesn't know why.
Wants to know why.
Yeah. But I remember seeing her shoot. I thought it was a joke. Like, I was like, this is not real. And then so I send it to like all my basketball group chats, I put it on my Twitter, and I think there were a ton of people that are basketball junkies that did the same thing because they had never seen something like that before. And that's just fact. It's aesthetically the thing that she does. You don't see it happen. People don't play like that. And then you add the passing and the charisma and everything else, and she's must see. I watched all of her tournament games for, 2 straight years. I was not expecting to watch Iowa NCAA tournament games, but I fell into that. And I think a ton of people fell into that for that very reason. She just is that unique in that regard.
Totally agree. And it is just absolutely insane that Nike isn't trying to capitalize on this and maybe throw it on the pile of some of the other issues. I hope that, I don't know why I hope. They don't need my help. I mean, I would like them. I hope they get things turned around if it benefits Move insoles. That's where I'm at on this whole issue with Nike. It's my main hope there.
Yeah. And the funny thing is with, especially our generation, like I feel like that, the millennial generation is like pulling for Nike. But when you look at it, like Nike's the bully. They're the juggernaut. They're like whatever. And it's kind of funny that we're all like, because it's almost like one of those last vestiges of monoculture that, feels good from our childhood all the way through our, like, early adulthood that still remains. We don't want to see those things go away. Right. Like, so I think that's a big part of it.